Turn that off. Excellent. How's everyone doing? Just getting started. Was just getting off another call, so I'm getting set up now. Any questions, feel free to say them out loud or type them in the chat before we get started. And just let me know. Otherwise, we'll stick to the regular topic of Facebook ads for today. So. All right, share screen. All right. So before we get started, in the chat, if you guys wouldn't mind, on a scale of 1 to 10, how familiar are you with Command? And also you can put how familiar you are with Facebook ads in general and in Command, just so I get a sense of how everybody is in the class. And we'll get started. And again, if you have any specific questions on this topic, put it in the chat as well. So make sure you're logged into Command, and we're gonna get started. I'll just look for that in the chat before we get going. So somebody type 5, 3, a 7. Excellent. Facebook 4. All right. Thanks for being honest, Steven. Okay. Excellent, Neil. Thank you for responding. All right, so here we are in Command. Now, Niels, if you haven't set this up yet, definitely you're going to want to work with the Market Center and Scott Leroy to get you set up in Command. So I don't know if you're there yet. Once you are set up in Command, these videos will be made available so you can rewatch them so that you can get a sense of what's going on. Now, your screen, a little bit of a preface, your screen may be a little different than mine. I am in some very, very early raw beta testing for Command, and so occasionally stuff pops up for me that doesn't for you. And if that's the case, feel free to say, hey, I don't have that yet, because that's the only way I know. They don't always tell me when they turn things on, so just let me know. So once you log into Command, and you can do that by going to agent.kw.com, you get to your home screen. From there, your applets are all on the side. And I say this every class, if you click on the KW, it opens up a tray that tells you the name of the applets. So if you haven't yet learned what they are and want to, just go and click on that, and now you see the name of all the applets. So I'm actually going to click on the campaigns applet, because that's what we will be working with here. And now, with that in mind, there are a couple of different campaigns that you can launch from here. Today, we're going to be talking about Facebook campaigns specifically. However, you can also do Twitter campaigns, Instagram campaigns, and postcard campaigns, and Google AdWord campaigns. So you can do some of those things. Email campaigns are being reworked. Right now, it does require a connection with MailChimp. However, the new KW Mail is coming out. So just, and is launching slowly into the different platforms, and that will be coming soon as an updated version. What we're going to do here is from our campaigns dashboard. Again, we clicked on the campaigns icon. Somebody is making some noise, so I'm going to mute everybody just for the time being, and feel free to unmute yourself if you need to ask a question. So from here, we're going to click create a campaign, create a new campaign, and we're going to click a social ad. You see there are social ads and social posts. Social post is just, you know, posting to your Facebook business page and not an advertisement. A social ad does not show up as an advertisement. It shows up, or a social ad does not show up as a post on your page. It only shows up as an advertisement. Today, we're going to be doing social ad because we're focused on lead generation. So you put in a campaign name. Who has a listing that they'd like me to market today? I don't have any currently active, so let me know and we'll get you started on this if you don't mind me advertising one of your listings. Put it in the chat or jump on, not all at once. Cool, here we go. Not at the moment. All right, that's fine. We'll just do a test. If someone has one, we're gonna click advertise listing. Right now, these things don't do anything but help Kelly learn. There's no difference in how the ads are run other than really advertise a listing versus advertise multiple listings. Obviously, if you advertise multiple listings, you can put different ones in there. Advertise a single listing just allows you to advertise a single listing. Now, where will your campaign run? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I have heard people say that if you should only pick. Oh, excellent. Who's that? D? Thank you, D.
Yes.
So from a standpoint of what these do, I have heard people say that if you click on both, it makes it less optimal. I have not had that experience, and also I have asked KWRI if that is true, and they have said no. So if you want to follow that advice, go ahead, but that's not advice that I give. So if you want to run them both at the same time, by all means, run them both at the same time. It allocates the budget accordingly based on how you tell it. So you could tell it Facebook and Instagram, just Facebook, just Instagram, do any of those. I'm just going to do Facebook today, and we're going to be doing, D gave me 525 Bennett's Farm. We're going to do a Facebook ad, and we're going to advertise the listing. So once you get that basic information in there, I'm going to click Setup Campaign. And now it's going to launch this. Now, this is a listing that's not mine. So if an agent gives you permission to advertise their listing, you can go and you can look up any listing in here. So I'm going to look up 525 Bennett's Farm. Let's see. D, when did this go live? Has it been on for a little bit, or? Yeah, May 28th. It looks like this one here, right? Okay, I'm going to select this. And now it should pull in a photo for the listing here, and let's give it a minute. My internet has been a little slow, so I'm hoping that it behaves better today than it did for me on Friday. I'm going to skip this for now. We can go back and add the image. So it pulls in the basic information about the property. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to work on your ad text. So one-of-a-kind expanded raised ranch on private setting close to Route 7 for easy commute, north or south, gorgeous gourmet kitchen for the cook, and private master suite with vaulted ceilings. Love it. One of the things that I've seen people say, and I think it works really well, is to put emojis in your ad. So I'm going to go to emojipedia.com, and I'm going to type in arrow, and I'm going to grab the down arrow. Now, again, I'm doing this just to create a little more pizzazz in the ad, grab people's attention. I'm going to put it here, telling them to look at the photo. One-of-a-kind expanded raised ranch on private setting close to for easy commute. I'm just going to say, I'm going to trim this down just because we don't have room for that many letters if we want, or verbs if we want to see it all here. So I'm going to say on a private setting, close to Route 7. I'm just going to say for easy commute north or south, with easy commute north or south. Okay. So you can put in some kind of text in there. So again, gorgeous gourmet kitchen. So let's see what we got. You might want to put an ad. Let's see, cooking, cook, man cook. I think there's a chef hat in here. Let's see, I don't see one, so I'm just going to say man cooks here. And private master suite of vaulted ceilings. So you could put more in there. Again, all we're trying to do is grab their attention a little bit. Headline is, let's say, looking to escape New York City. Check out this great And then I'm going to do shuffle. I'm going to find C, schedule a private tour with me today. A big thing, I'm going to say virtual tour, right? Because that's a big thing. So schedule a private virtual tour with me today, because that's something that's going on.
It's near a park. It's right. It's adjacent to a park also, something like that.
Oh, adjacent to park? Okay. Yep. Gorgeous gourmet kitchen and master suite, vaulted ceilings. Adjacent. Which park is it, D?
I might need help on this one. It's not called Bennett's Farm. It's a huge park up there, so it's open space.
Oh, yeah. Adjacent to scenic open space, I'll just say.
Okay, cool.
And let's see if there's something like park here that we can do. Let's put this beautiful adjacent park here. Whatever. Again, we're just being a little creative. We're looking to have some fun. Schedule a private virtual tour with me today. So again, that's a big thing right now is virtual tours. Click Save Ad Text. Now I'm going to go to Add Media. I'm going to click Configure. Now, again, I don't know if it's pulled it in, so let's give it a moment to see. It looks like it did struggle. So I'm not going to be able to launch the ad today, but I will save it as a preview. So basically, you can choose from the listing. You can add images, which means you can upload, or you can add video. So if you've done, one thing that you might do is pan a simple video panning to show the house and then the yard, so that they get a view of that, and maybe make one of those videos that goes back and forth or something, so that they can see that as they scroll by. It should be very short for these, because you're just trying to drag people there. You are, but grab their attention is what I meant to say. So select the media for the campaign, and then you will require a DBA logo, which will just, again, shows that it's a Keller Williams thing. Once you do that, you save Ad Media. It's not going to let me do it because I didn't pick anything. And then once you do that, you can build the ad. So I'm going to click Configure to build the ad. Now, first thing you have to do is select your account. You would have had to connect your account. So I'm going to click Me, and then I'm going to click McCue Real Estate powered by KW. That's my main ad. So it pulls that in. Now, this is where your first real choice of how you want to run it goes, as far as do you want one thing or something else. The first is, do you want to use a Facebook lead generation form, or do you want to use a site landing page? Site or landing page. And so the thing is that using a lead generation form is going to show it to less people, but those people are more likely to fill out a form. If you use a site or landing page, it's going to show it to more people, but they're less likely to convert. So here I would actually ask the question, what are you going for? Are you going for people to register, or are you going for just get as many eyeballs on it as possible? And so when you're doing strict lead generation, the lead generation form is better. However, oftentimes with our sellers, we want to show them that there's been a lot of exposure. So you may want to use the site or landing page. So depending on your outcome and what you're really trying to do, what your outcome you want, pick one versus the other. Or you could run two different ads with $10 a piece or $20 a piece and use each strategy so that you get both people who are willing to register and people who are more likely to just show it to more people. Either way, you're going to have to either put a landing page URL or a follow-up destination URL. Now, you can put the URL or you can click Choose Site. If you click Choose Site, you would have had to make a site within Command, so like a single property website there. That is another class. We're not going to go over that today. However, that is something that you could do if you wanted to. But what we're going to do is I'm going to go to mccue.kw.com, and I'm going to find that property on here so that we can now put it in as the landing page. And it was, what was it? 525 Bennett's Farm. So I'm going to search for 525 Bennett's Farm, Ridgefield, Connecticut. see if it pulls it up. Apologize again, my internet's a little slow. 525, here we go. So once you click on it, now you can go up here and you can grab the URL, which is this. And I'm going to click copy, and I am going to put it here. And now after they click on the lead generation form, they're going to get redirected to this. Or if I clicked on this, they're going to go right to that and with no lead generation form. So I'm going to click use a lead generation form, and I'm going to put that there. Now ad targeting. This is where we get to make our second major choice. And so I'm going to click on use custom settings, because it's going to default to 20 miles around the property that you have picked, but I don't want that. So I'm going to use a custom audience, and I'm going to click New York. I'm going to type in New York, because I want it within 20 miles of Manhattan. Because if everybody's heard what's been going on, people from Manhattan are buying out here. You know, I haven't seen that personally myself, but maybe if I ran more ads and talked to more people in the city, I would see that. So I'm going to target a custom audience in New York, radius of 20 miles. That's all I'm going to do. And then I'm going to click Save Facebook Ads. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking this property, I'm tailored it to people leaving New York City, and I have picked the custom audience of people around New York City. Now, I can also target my database as a separate thing. If I target my database, I'm targeting people who are in there whose email addresses match what is in Facebook. So the minimum is 100 matches. So most likely you're going to need 200 to 300 contacts, because if you have only 100 contacts, you might not have 100 matches in Facebook. Now, if you're looking for new lead generation, targeting your database is not the way to go. If you're looking to maybe get in front of people who you already have in your database, to just keep top of mind, right? Because remember, in the MREA, they talk about mind share. So if you want to stay top of mind, that's a reason you would use that strategy, okay? But in this case, we're doing an ad to bring people from New York, so we're not going to click on that. So I'm going to click Target a Custom Audience, click on New York, and then there's the radius of 20 miles. I'm going to click Save Facebook Ad. Now, everything is put together. Duration and budget, it's not going to open up automatically, but I can go in and change it. So you have to pick a day after the current day, so it would have to be tomorrow. And then this is picked for 10 days at $3 per day. It says a 10-day campaign of a budget of $1 per channel per day. What I would say is if you're in a more densely populated area like Stanford, you may have to, sorry, let me correct this. If you're targeting a more densely populated area like Stanford or New York City, you may have to put more money towards the campaign to get the same amount, simply because a lot of people are putting money in advertising in those areas. If you're advertising in a more rural area, less people are advertising there, so you spend less money, if that makes sense. It may seem counterintuitive to some people, but that's what you're going to want to do. $30, I'm going to say, is enough, but the minimum of $1 per channel per day is what you need. Now, if you picked Facebook and Instagram, you will have to have $1 per day in Facebook and $1 per day in Instagram. So a lot of times people see this getting rejected because they picked two different channels, but they did not go in and they did not allocate the budget properly. So just be aware, if you get that error, you got to go into duration and budget, and you need to be able to pick and make sure that it's at least $1 per day per channel. And as you can see here, I'm just doing Facebook, so that part's not going to matter. I'm going to save duration and budget. Now, it's not going to let me save this because I don't have ad media. I don't want to launch it today. But what I can do is I can click Save as a Draft, or if I had media in there, I would click Publish Campaign. Now, publishing a campaign does a couple of things. One, it launches a screen that says, how would you like to pay for this? And then it asks you to confirm, and then it takes 24 hours approximately for it to go live. So it will start the next day. And part of that 24 hours is they run it through their algorithm to make sure that you didn't do any fair housing violation wording, or what they consider fair housing violation wording. So just be aware that it will be run through that, so that, and that's why there's a 24-hour gap. I'm going to click Save as Draft, and it's actually going to bring me back to my main screen with all of my campaigns on there. But you could hit Publish from there. Now, from here, you can see I have this here. It says in draft, and so when I'm ready to go and launch it, I just click on the ellipses over here, and I click Edit Campaign, and from there, it will allow me to launch it, add the media, and launch it. If I wait till tomorrow to edit the campaign, it's going to yell at me and say, hey, you need to change the date this starts, because again, remember the date it starts has to be 1 day after the current day that it is. So just be aware of that. Now, once you run the campaigns, if you look, you're going to start to see things. So remember how we said that you can have ads that generate leads, and you can have ads that don't generate leads, that just bring them to a landing page. See how I have clicks here but no leads? That's because I ran an ad that just focused on showing a page, not actually collecting leads, versus this one where I ran an ad that actually was looking to find leads. And so I had 28 clicks and I had got 5 leads from that, $10 spend, right? Versus this one, I had a $20 spend. I got 46 clicks, but I didn't get any leads, right? Because I didn't actually put that as a lead generation strategy. So again, those two things have very different outcomes. Once I'm ready to launch it, I click on the ellipses. I click, oops, that's not one. I click on the ellipses and I click Edit Campaign, and from there I can go and launch it. That is an overview, guys. Any questions on any of the specific steps and what you can do there? Normally more people chime in with questions. Oh, it looks like we got something in the chat here. Where did you get to that? Lisa, you're going to have to be a little more specific on that. I don't know when you said that. Okay, I understand. Sorry, Lisa. If you do chime in on the microphone, that is helpful for me because the chat notification sometimes does get hidden, so I apologize for that. If somebody else sees a chat pop up while I'm on a roll, please feel free to jump in and ask the person's question. Sometimes people don't have microphones.
Joseph, I'm sorry. We need to put the KW logo on our ads. It's a requirement. Is that correct?
Yes. And so what you do there, I'll go into this and I'll show you where it is. It requires your DBA logo, and that is in, if you go to Add Media. Yeah, in Add Media, you see this DBA logo. That it requires a DBA logo. It should be the one that best represents your office. So for ours in Ridgefield, we're just Keller Williams, so we can use the generic logo. In Stamford, technically you should use the one that says Keller Williams Prestige Properties. So you're going to have to get that from either the Market Center or from there's a link there for the Market Center's DBA logo. I know that it hasn't popped up if you search by the Market Center number, but there is another Market Center in another state called Prestige Properties. I think you could probably use that logo because it's identical to what would be created for yours, but you know what? You really need to ask your MCA where to get that logo. Ridgefield, we can just use the standard one. Stanford has to use or should use that one. And if you upload it here, it will overlay it on the image over here. So it will show up either on the left or on the right, depending on how you do that. So just that's where you would put that in there. Great question, Roberto.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
I think, I'm not sure. I think it goes back to the beginning where you put in the campaign name, then advertise listing, and then I have campaign run with a question mark behind it.
Campaign what?
Run.
Let me go back to the screen here.
And then you click on Facebook.
So if I create a campaign, and I click social ad, I clicked advertise listing. I'm going to say, I'll say test for this one. And then I clicked Facebook. Which campaign will you run? Yep. I click on Facebook, but it depends on what channels you want to use to advertise on. I just click Facebook. So Facebook and Instagram. Instagram's a great area to advertise on as well. So one of those two are usually good. I don't personally do a lot on Twitter, but I know people who advertise on Twitter, so that's an option as well. I would say advertise on the channels that you're willing to be active on, because they will look to see and explore your Facebook page or your Instagram page to see that you're a real person with a pulse, right? If you advertise on there and you're not doing other postings, you may get less of a return, because when they go to see if you're a legitimate business, they may think, you know, something's up. From there, you just click Setup Campaign, and now it should launch this screen and bring us to this screen where we get to pick the property.
Okay, I know. I have a question mark. Where did you go to look up the URL for the listing?
Great question. So I went any website that you have. So I use my KW site, and I use that as the example because everybody has it. So I went to McCue.kw.com. Whatever your KW website is where you want to go. So if it's lisabennett.kw.com, I'm not sure what you have that set up as. That's where you're going to want to go. Or if you use another website, right? So some people use like Market Leader or Boomtown. You can send them to those websites as well. It depends on what your preferred website to send the consumer to is. So I clicked on my website, which is McCue.kw.com. And let me show you where I go from there. It's going to bring you right to the main search bar. And it was 525 Bennett's Farm and Ridgefield, Connecticut. That should be enough to find it. The more info you put in there, the more likely it's going to find the property. And so here it's pulling this up. Now that it pulled up the search result, I just click on the listing. And then the URL that I'm going to use is just what's up in this bar up here, right? So I have McCue.kw.com, and then I have all this other stuff. This entire thing is what I want for the URL.
Okay,
you
great.
Copy that over and you put it in the campaign. Yep.
So if you're not advertising a listing, I'm sorry, would it be best to just direct them then to your website? Is that the best suggestion?
Sure, that's a great question. So here's an idea, and I'm just spitballing here. If you're if you're targeting people who are moving from New York City. So what I've heard is that people are tired of being cooped up in New York City, and they're buying and renting out in Connecticut just so that they could be outside in their own property, right? So what I might do is I might target listings that have properties that have features that you might like. So I'm gonna go. Let's go Let's go Stamford, Connecticut.
When you get a moment, I have a question for you back on the Facebook.
Sure. And let's go to more, and I'm gonna say, I don't know if the keyword feature is working right now, but let's look for pool. Great. So maybe what I want to target is people in Stamford who, homes in Stamford that have pools. And it's actually, it's giving me a little bit of trouble because it's picking, let's click this. Oh, here we go. City, Stamford, Connecticut. This will narrow it down. So now these are homes in Stamford that have pools. And let's actually just say we want houses. We don't want condos because we don't want shared pools. So what I might do is you see this URL up here? This URL will bring them to this search result page. So what I could do is I could run an ad about escaping New York, find a generic picture that I have the right to use of pools or a nice property, and say, looking to escape New York, here are, the best homes in Stamford with pools, so that you're no longer stuck inside all day, or whatever it is, and run that as an ad instead. Because now what you're doing is you don't have your listing, but you're drawing people's attention in based on a search result that you want. And so then that's the URL that I would put in there, which would allow people to then see all of these listings on your website that potentially would get you business from, again, using that same people moving out of New York strategy. And then instead of advertise listing, I'd use the strategy attract buyer, because that's really what you're doing in this case. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
And use any keyword you want. Just make sure that there are enough search results that it's going to grab people's attention. And you know, you could change the price point. You could do any number of things to make it work. Dee, what was your question?
So back where you did the logo, it says something about ownership.
Yes.
Can you address that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to scroll down here. This is, oh, it's not in this because it was in the other thing. That is like if it requires something like each office is independently owned and operated. I believe that is the statement that is generated automatically. I think it can be changed in your marketing profile, but the idea is to disclose that Keller Williams offices are different. That's really what that ownership statement is based on.
So do we check it off then and it automatically goes in? What do we do there?
You know, so this is, it's funny because I just took a CE class on this and I totally forget the answer. It's based on, the reason why they make it optional is it's based on state rules as to if those things are required. So I don't know if that is required for online advertising, that particular statement, or if it's okay if that just exists on the website that it directs you to. So I will need to get clarification on that. So for now, turn it on, and if we find out otherwise, we can turn it back. You can do the future ones without that.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, guys?
Yes, Joe. Will this go to my business Facebook page, or will it go to my personal Facebook page?
Only business. You have to pick, if you, again, remember in, let's see, Facebook ad, you pick your account, but then you have to pick a page. And you cannot pick a personal page. You have to pick a business page at this point.
Oh, okay. I missed that. Thank you.
Yep, nope, that's fine. Facebook doesn't allow advertising for personal pages, just for business pages. If you want something advertised as personal, create a business page that's just you. Instead of mine's about my real estate business, you could have one that's just about you, and then, you know, be a little more personable, a little more fun, but it's still technically a business page. If that's how you want to do your strategy, it's up to you.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Can you show us how to add money to our advertising?
Sure. So within, let's go back to campaigns. In the campaigns home, you should have a little link right up here next to create a new campaign that says payments. So I'm going to click on payments, and this is where you get to add your credit cards. So you just click add payment method and you put that information in there, and then you can set it as your default. It's still going to ask you which one you want to use. It asks me every time, even though I have one card in here, when you go to launch the campaign, but that's where you put it in there. Now, if for some reason you cancel an ad, you should get a credit back for the remaining amount that wasn't spent. So that exists over here if you ended up canceling a thing. If for some reason you cancel and it does not credit you back, you need to reach out to support, but it should credit you back on anything that you stopped before it finished. So that's where you put your payment information in. Great question.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other question? Niels, did you have any question? I know this is brand new for you, so feel free to jump in. I've answered pretty much every question you could think of, so.
No, I don't have any questions as of yet. I'm still trying to get started, so I might come back to you at some point or watch the recording of this video if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. The key things you need is you need your Facebook page, your business page launched, and you need to be able to link that, which is ultimately up here in settings. I'll show you real quick since we have some time, but you go to settings, and it should launch from here. It should launch your integrated accounts, applications, and you're going to look for, anything you want to run an ad on. So Facebook post scheduling, and then there's another one, Facebook ad manager, and some of the other stuff. You have to connect those in order to do this. Once you connect them, you're going to have the options in the ad. So make sure, again, we don't usually talk about this in the class. We jump right in, but for you definitely want to go in and make sure these things are connected there. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to take the steps that we taught in this class.
Okay, so I still actually have to set up a Facebook business account. I don't know how to do that, but I'm sure it's just a Google search. Now, do you recommend any other social media that I should get on? I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on Twitter.
So, again, I go back to they're all great places to find business, but you could always do it wrong. So if you're not going to post on there somewhat regularly, it can almost be a burden against your business rather than helping you. But if you just make it part of your daily lead generation to put things on your Facebook pages, that's useful. So I would say Facebook business page, because that's where a lot of millennials are. And millennials, I hate that term being a millennial, but millennials are in the age bracket that should be buying right now. So I would say millennials and older, you could advertise on Facebook. And then millennials and younger is more Instagram. And so I think there's benefits to both of those as far as doing that. But you have to do the work to post and make people interact with you because that is vital to then the ads being more effective. So, I would, that's one of the reasons why, even though I have a Twitter, I don't advertise on Twitter, is because I think the last time I tweeted was probably about 2 years ago. So it just doesn't make sense for me to spend money there. Even if it's a good source for other people, it's probably not going to be a good source for me.
And I can always add an Instagram account later, right? It's not like I have to do this right away.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Start with Facebook business because it's the easiest. Instagram, again, I like that one because you post a picture with a stupid caption, and whereas Facebook, you oftentimes have to write more. But again, it depends on you and your personality, how well you're going to interact in those things. So, or who, how your audiences are going to react.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
And this is being recorded, right? So if I want to go back to figuring out how to do this, I can watch a recording of this?
Yeah, I don't know if every recording makes it up there, but this class has been taught multiple times. So there'll be a version of this on there that you should be able to look at.
Great, thank you.
Where can I find this recording?
On the Keller Williams, the Stanford Ridgefield YouTube channel. I actually don't know the link for that, but it should probably, I think Rick sent one out in an email or Steve sent one out in an email. Yeah, you should be able to find that.
Great.
Any other questions on this, or if you have any quick, I got about 15 minutes, so if you have any other command issues that you want to just jump in on, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you since we finished a little early.
I assume for new joiners, we're going to get a tutorial on command at some point, right?
Yes. So are you with, which market center did you join?
Stanford.
Stanford. I don't know, Stephen, maybe you'd be able to answer this. Who does your agent onboarding there?
Adonis?
Adonis, yes.
Adonis. So I believe they have some stuff on that, either through Adonis or through Jen or Jackie. I don't know exactly how it's processed in Stanford, but it should be part of your onboarding as far as getting up and running with that.
Great, thank you.
And if they tell you otherwise, then just let me know, because not part of their process.
I will come back to you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. Take care. See you soon.
Yep. Thanks, Dee.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, John, this was
thank
great.
you.
Yeah, no, my pleasure.
Thank you.
It's great.
Thank you.
I'm gonna stick around if anybody has questions. But yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming.
All right, take care.
So all these ad campaign are paid only, or we can, post couple of ads with no payment, or any other options?
The only thing you can do that's not an ad, a paid ad, through Command is a social post, which is just for Facebook and Twitter. You can't yet use Instagram for that, but you can post socially for Facebook and Twitter on here, and it goes to your business pages, and that's, those are the two places you can put it.
Okay.
Yep. They're less effective for lead generation than advertising, but it's a way to continue to post content that you don't have to pay for.
So I have to use my business Facebook account.
Yes. Yeah.
Account, not page, right?
Your business page, not your personal page. Right.
Business page. Okay.
Oh,
So Joe, are you doing this every week?
I do this whenever I'm asked. So
okay.
If you'd like to see me do it again, I think Jen was supposed to do it today, but she couldn't. So Dan asked me to jump on. I had done this on, I want to say Tuesday. I think it was the exact same class. It feels like the exact same class. So yes, I'd be more than happy to. Just ask, the trainers to put me on the schedule, and I'd do it for you. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. No, my pleasure. And I am going to stop everything now. So thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you. Be well.
Bye.